All right, peace, family, peace. Thank you for your patience as usual. And as usual, it will be worth it, family. It will be worth it. All right. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We about to get started. Before I do, we gonna get to this quick commercial. Make sure y'all get comfortable. Make sure y'all tell your friends and family Black Magic 363 is live. And we will be right back after this brief commercial, family.
Hey everyone, Billy Carson here, aka Forbidden Knowledge. We have an amazing workshop coming up called the Blueprint for GodPower, hosted by Dr. B. Sirius and myself, Billy Carson. Now, this event is going to be January the 7th. We're going to kickstart the new year with a lot of power and a lot of energy. You're going to get all the spiritual gnosis and understanding you need to get through the year. Plus, I'm going to bring hot topics and teachings, things like how to create your own bank, how to set up a will, trust, and a testament for your family the proper way, what types of life insurance policies should you choose, and how you can utilize that to fund projects and businesses in the future, and how you can even access the money in those policies if you're still alive. I'm going to talk about a lot of financial literacy and how to link financial literacy with spiritual knowledge. This is something you don't want to forget. And I'm also going to dig deep into epigenetics and how you can begin to reprogram yourself live during the workshop and change and edit your own DNA. If you want to have an amazing 2023, you need to come on and tune into the live workshop streaming online globally, Blueprint for GodPower, January the 7th. Click the link and make sure you register ASAP. Space is limited. Peace.
All right.
I like that beat.
that West Coast Dr. Dre beat. All right, man. Billy Carson, welcome back to the show, my brother.
Hey, good to be back on, man. I ain't seen you in a long time.
man, oh man.
Yeah.
Listen, we've been letting the world know about this workshop, and they are very excited, Billy. Very excited, man.
Yeah. People are really pumped, hype. I'm getting a lot of comments underneath my posts and feeds, people DMing me, texting me, sending me Twitter messages. It's like, wow, people are really looking forward to the information. And one of the main reasons why I think is because a lot of these gurus who get online and, they get on YouTube and other places and they start telling you all the things they're going to teach you, and they never really give you the final carrot. They lead you on with the carrot, but you never get to eat the carrot. You know what I'm saying? And I've watched, I'm a victim. I've gone through so many videos. Oh, this guy's going to tell me how to do this. And I'd be like, okay, when is he going to get to that? And he never gets to that, or she never gets to that, right? They just reel you in, you know what I'm saying? And reel you in. And that's why these workshops are so important, because we actually give up all the information. We give up all the contacts, the plugs, and we tell you step by step, which you've seen my classes before. I even have PDF files that tell you, do this, okay? Then do this, and then do that. That's not what's happening on any of these videos and all these reels and TikToks and everything else. They give you a 35, 45 seconds of information and expect someone to just go run off and master it. That's not how it works. You got to spend some time.
Yeah, family. For those who don't know, or if you need an update, we're talking about this workshop. It starts at 11 a.m. It's virtual. It's an online workshop. Anybody all over the world could join, no matter where you at. It starts at 9. It starts at 11 and it ends at. It'll probably end about 8, 9, depending on whatever time Billy gets done. But it's going to be an all-day event. You have lifetime access to it. You can watch it anytime at your own leisure. You're going to get 2 workbooks for the workshop. One workbook from Billy Carson, one book from Dr. B Sirius. Dr. B is starting. Billy's going to close it out. And this is probably the biggest workshop I have ever been a part of. The conscious community has been a part of. And it's making history as we speak. And I'm talking about family, people from all over the world, every continent is signing up. Africa is hitting us heavy. Shout out to Africa. Africa's hitting us heavy. I want to give a big shout out to Africa. Big shout out to the UK. Big shout out to Canada. Those are just some of Australia. Big shout out to Australia. Those are some of the countries who's tapping in. The sister called me yesterday. I think it's from Panama. Big shout out to Panama, the sister I talked to. I forgot your name, Queen, but shout out to Panama's tuning in. I mean, all over the world, the Americas, Europe, everywhere. So I'm excited, family. It's going down
Yeah.
January 7th. The link is pinned at the top of the chat if you would like to sign up. And family, I advise that you do it because it's going to be an investment of a lifetime. Billy, to start the
Mhm.
show, last time when you came on, you shocked us with the financial information and you told us how you was coming with all the plugs. And I
Yeah.
know you were gonna do that January 7th. So we was all super excited, like, yo, Billy gonna tell us this, tell us that, boo, boo, boo. So I'm excited about that. But today I want to get a little spiritual.
Okay. You
We're
know I
talking,
can go that way too.
indeed, that's what's gonna make this workshop so special.
Hmm.
We're gonna go spiritual and financial.
Yeah.
Um, talking about God power, Billy, this God concept has to be one of the most confusing concepts humanity has ever faced.
Yeah.
I mean, woo! Just reading history,
Hmm.
looking at the world. I mean, wow! You
Yeah.
Humanity could be so easily manipulated with this whole God concept. So
Hmm.
within the God concept gets introduced the concept of Satan or the devil.
Hmm.
So I know you're a man who is you're a researcher, you're a historian, you travel the world. So this is the perfect conversation to have with somebody like you. You didn't just read books, but you actually been to places where you've seen the stones and everything. So to start out with, Billy, what is the oldest recorded story of God and the oldest recorded story of the devil or of Satan that you have encountered in your
Hmm.
experience doing all this research, my brother?
That's a really intricate question because it goes deeper than just talking about God and Satan. When you go into the super ancient text, we're
Mm,
talking about now some of the oldest tablets that we know we have available that have been translated since the 1800s,
mm,
Assyrian and Babylonian tablets. These tablets are written in cuneiform, a specialized type of writing that's written into wet clay with a stylus. And once it
mm,
dries, it becomes stone. So we
mm,
know what we're reading is as close to the truth as we can possibly get. Is it 100% accurate? Anything that man touches, obviously, there's room for some manipulation. However, back then, writing in cuneiform was such a heavy task that there would be scribes, and people would dictate to scribes, and so they would write down what they were told to write, or what they saw, or what they had learned.
mm,
And so, what's interesting about this technique is so tedious. There wasn't a lot of room for just fanciful thinking and making things up. You kind of really want to get direct to the point. You know what I'm saying?
mhm, mhm,
Because it could take you, a month to write one story. It's very, very intricate. So, with that in mind, the oldest story that I get is when these beings, which have been recorded all around the world from all different cultures and civilizations, the Aboriginals, the people of Kemet, the Dogons, the people of Mesoamerica, the Mayans and the Aztecs, and I can just keep going. The people of China, Wang Di came down on a fiery dragon. Japan, I can just
mm,
keep going. They all have the same exact story, a story that beings came here from up there down to
mm,
this planet and then engaged them in some way, shape, or form. Now, where it gets interesting and intricate is these beings claimed to be God. They masqueraded as gods. And in the
mm,
region where they ruled over people, they were the people's God. Their people were told that I am the only one God. For example, Amun Ra, so also known as Marduk in the Jewish Torah and the modern day canonized Bible. He says, there'll be no other God but me. I'm a jealous God. So the people of that region said, oh man, this guy is the only one. This is the only one we can pray to. This is the only one we can give thanks to. And everyone was duplicating that in other regions of the planet. Now, what's interesting, and this is where it gets really crazy, these beings that were masquerading as gods on earth, walking amongst men and ruling over them, said this exact thing, that when the creator of all finds out what we've done here, we're going to have to pay for this.
mm,
And this is written in the tablets, in several different tablets, in several different time periods. So even they knew they weren't gods. They knew they were masquerading, and they knew that there was a creator above them, that there's a creator of all, they called it. They didn't call it a god. They said a creator of all. That means everything that exists. So they
mm,
understand that there's a creator, and they felt some type of guilt that they would be punished for what they had done on this planet to human beings. Pretty interesting. So when it gets into God and Satan, when it comes into what I call the modern day idiom, where we're now talking about what's inside of these New Age religious texts, and I do mean New Age. The Bible is New Age. The Bible was written from 100 AD to 900 AD. That's brand new compared to 8,000 old tablets, 36,000-year-old tablets. That's brand spanking new. That just arrived here, right?
Yes.
The Torah, maybe a little bit older than that. In some of these other texts, the Tibetan Book of the Dead and all these other texts, these texts are fairly new. Now, what's happening here? You look in into the Garden of Eden story, which is actually comes out of the Sumerian tablets, and it's in Mesopotamia where there was an Eden, Edin. This Eden was an outdoor laboratory according to the tablets, not according to Billy Carson. So don't say Billy is making stuff up. No, you go do what I did. Research them. They're available online for free. Everyone can read them. UCLA, CDLI, Cuneiform Online Digital Library. It's free. You can go there and download all the tablets and read the translations for yourself. You don't need me. Now, so what's interesting is in these tablets, in the Eden, you had Adam and you had Eve, the two beings that were there. Now, first you had Adam. Adam was actually born through Isis. Now, so the reason why this happened is because there were already people on earth. As well as in the Bible, when you read the Old Testament the right way, you realize that there were people here, because after Cain got kicked out, he said the people out there are going to kill me. Well, what people out there? So clearly there were people out there that existed. In the Sumerian tablets, you discover that they had already began a genetic cloning of people on this planet from our own cousins that were already here to make a slave race, because they got tired of doing the work themselves. They have been laboring on this planet for a long time, approximately 200,000 years. Hold on a second.
Take your time.
So approximately, I've been talking all day, but this is probably my sixth video that I've done today. So they were laboring on this planet, according to the tablets, for about 250,000 years on their own. No slave labor. They were doing this. That's in the Atrahasis epic, right? And the Enuma Elish as well. And then all of a sudden they say, no, we're tired of this work. Enki and Enlil, who were the kings of earth at the time, part of this race of beings that were masquerading, we're going to go to war against these guys and tell them, look, we're done. We're not doing this work anymore. So in the Atrahasis, they talk about actually leaving Mars, because they were working also even on Mars, creating a concurrent civilization. They came down. These are the sons of God, because they were all sons of Anu, the head of this pantheon of Sumerian Anunnaki. The sons of God fell down. They came from Mars down to Earth, and they were going to go to war against God. It was Anu, Enki, and Enlil, that three, the Trinity, right there in South Africa at Adam's Calendar. Well documented, and that site has been discovered as one of the first original gold mines, and it dates back to approximately when? 200,000 years ago, just like the tablets say. And so now we have a point here where this slave race they agreed to do it. What they do is they agree to clone us, our cousins, and turn them into slaves, which they began to do, but they had a problem. The clones weren't living long. They couldn't reproduce on their own. Just like if you take a lion and a tiger and you get a tigon, right, or a liger, they can't mate and create more ligers or tigons. It doesn't work. That was the problem they ran into. They had strong, big people that can do a lot of work but couldn't reproduce. And it was a lot of work to keep making them. So what they did was this: Isis says, I'm going to take one in my own womb. This is a famous cylinder scroll that's at the British Museum. She took an egg from an existing being, a hominid, our cousin, not Homo sapien yet, but similar to us, took the egg out of the womb. They added their essence to the egg, meaning they did a genetic modification, possibly taking out some of the genetic material and adding some of their genetic material, inserted it back into her own womb, and took the baby to term a full 10 months, not 9, according to the tablets, 10 months term, and gave birth to Adamu, which means first man. The translation of Adamu means first man. And so there's a famous cylinder scroll of her holding the baby up saying, my hands have made it. And that began the generations of Isis, the generations of Isis, Genesis. That's where Genesis came from. It's Genesis. That begins the generations. Now, fast forward into the future, we're in the garden, and Enlil is also known as Yahweh. So he's masquerading as Yahweh in the Bible. Anywhere in the Bible where it's Yahweh, it's actually this guy Enlil, who's actually a pretty evil dude. He goes and comes a lot. He goes away. While he's gone, his brother, Ea Enki, who the earth is named after, goes into the garden and he starts having empathy for the humans and starts telling them, look, you guys are just as powerful as us. You guys are just as incredible as us, maybe even more powerful than even we are. You have knowledge, you have wisdom, you're a sentient being. He starts feeding them. He starts giving them the apple. The apple is knowledge. Once they get this knowledge, they're like, oh man, what are we doing? We're running around like animals, man. Give me I want some clothes. Let me cover myself. So after some time of his teachings in the garden, a while later, this could be even months, maybe even a year. You know how long this guy goes away and comes back. He comes back, Yahweh, and says, man, what's going on? You guys got some knowledge. So he gets pissed off at his brother because he found out his brother did that. He then begins to call his brother Satan. However, because of the way that he was treating the people in these experiments and the slaves and everything else, when you read the tablets, you'll understand he was killing people by the hundreds of thousands just because he felt like it if they got too noisy, according to the tablets. They were calling him Satan, but he detracted that from himself and pushed it off to his brother. No, this is the one that's been doing this to you. He's Satan. So the people of the old, the ancients, they used to call him Satan, the Lord of Eden. That was Enlil's actual name, aka Yahweh in the modern day Bible. He then detracted it from himself and pushed it off on his brother after this Garden of Eden incident and said, look, no, he's the evil one. Don't talk to him, because he didn't want people to start talking to Enki, because Enki was telling people the truth. Like, we're equals. And he didn't like that. So him and his brother kind of went to battle with each other. All right. And this is all in the tablets. Everything I'm telling you is verifiable 100,000%. And we could sit here on a video one day and just go through tablet after tablet. If somebody want to spend 4 or 5 hours on here, maybe we could do it. The tablets don't lie. And so now this is where you get God, who's Yahweh, Enlil, and now you get Satan, who's actually his brother, who actually is actually the good guy. So, you know, it becomes this weird dichotomy of the situation where we got somebody who's being called the dark guy, who's actually the light guy, and the guy who's the light guy is really the dark guy. And as human beings are so ignorant, we got the whole thing tossed upside down. And then thousands of years later, people start finding scriptures and cylinder scrolls in caves, right? This cave got these scriptures and these cylinder scrolls and some tablets. And, oh, we found this copy of these tablets over here. And they start piecing this stuff together to create what? The modern day Bible. But they didn't start finding these writings until the 1st century. Nobody sat around writing this Bible in real time. There was nobody running behind Moses. Hold on, Mr. Moses. Say that one more time so I can get it just right. There was nobody doing that, dog. Nobody was doing that. Nobody. Jesus, stop. Jesus, hold on. You're speaking too fast, Jesus. Let me make sure I got to get this right. Hold on. Say that one more time for me. With more emphasis. No, wasn't happening. The Bible was written 2,000 years after everybody was already dead. And from that perspective, you can see where the information came from. A lot of recopied scriptures, texts, cylinder scrolls, papyruses, things that have been discovered from all around the world. And then when certain people got their hands on this material and started sorting through it over many years, figuring out what to keep, what to take away, they realized the power that spirituality and religion had on people. Hey man, we can remix this thing just the right way. We got a hit right here. We got a triple platinum for life. And we can control the masses with this information. So they began to do the remix. Council of Nicaea met. They said, keep this out. Oh, bring this in. Keep that out. No, bring that in. So if you keep this in, but remixes, take that piece out, change this around, and then drop it in there. That's how they made this book. See? And so the book was written over a long period of time. And who were the people that wrote the majority of the copied text that ended up being discovered? The Phoenicians, followers of Thoth, the Atlantean. Yeah, Jehudi, the priest king of ancient Kemet that ruled over the land of Kemet for 14,000 years, according to the ancient Egyptians. So this whole story of this God and this devil that people are running and chasing after has nothing to do with the real creator of the universe and some type of an adversary that may be out there. What it has to do with is beings that were more advanced consciously, spiritually, and technologically that took advantage of our ignorance and pimped us out and have us still to this very day blaming stuff on the devil and praying to God, not knowing they're not praying to any real God. They're praying to a flesh and blood being that isn't God. Does a God exist? In my opinion, yes. I've always said that from the very beginning. But I don't think people know which one they're focusing on when they're thinking. They're focusing their energy towards something that was totally dark and evil, and they don't even know it. The Gnostics knew this. You got to read the Gnostics text, right? Nag Hammadi scripts. When you get into the Gnostics who were living concurrently along with the Christians, they saw this and they peeped it. They realized that the Christians were following and worshiping the same Satan, the devil, that they were running and hiding from. Pretty interesting stuff, man. It's a big story.
I mean, quite interesting, Billy. Quite interesting. Shout out to everybody in the chat. So you brought up the Nag Hammadi, and you're saying Enlil is Yahweh, and you're saying you're talking about Inky, and you're talking about these two brothers beefing about humanity. Who is Yaldabaoth, I think, that the Gnostic talk about in the Nag Hammadi library?
Yaldabaoth is also Enlil. So you have Yaldabaoth, you have that's the Enlil character. You know, these beings that have these multiple names over different parts of the planet, different times of reigns and all this kind of stuff. But it's the same person. You know, much of it is the same people. Enki, Enlil, Marduk, also known as Amun-Ra. You know, those are the primary characters in most cases in most of these wars and battles that have gone on in some of the texts.
So what relationship, since we always talking about Enlil and Inky and their relationship to Earth, what relationship do they have with, you know, since we always hear about the Sirius star system, what relationship do they have to Sirius, Inky and Enlil?
Great question. So you see, Sirius was inhabited long after a huge war that happened in the Pleiadian star system. In the Pleiades, which are known as the Seven Sisters, you can read about the Seven Sisters in the ancient Sumerian texts. Much later, you can read about them in the Torah. You can read about them in the Bible. You can read about them in Homer's Iliad. And then when you look at all the artifacts that I've collected over the years, over the last, 12 years, I would say 90% of the artifacts that I have, they've been on many videos, they all depict the Pleiadian star system, the Seven Sisters. Why is that? When you dig deep into a lot of these ancient texts, you discover that there was an ancient war in that sector of the galaxy. And according to this text, there was something called a Brahmahanda weapon that was used, a weapon that can destroy any man on 3 worlds. It was a planetary destroyer, like the Death Star from Star Wars. Where do you think he got it from? He didn't just come up with that idea. He got it from the ancient texts. Back then, when nobody even was looking for texts, George Lucas had already tapped into the text, because the story that he made out of Star Wars is literally the Terra Papers, almost word for word. He just added the Hollywood touch and the love stories. And so this war persisted in that region. Imagine if there was a big war in our sector right now, in our solar system, and moons were exploding. All that gigantic debris. Imagine a huge piece of debris about the size of the United States floating towards Earth to collide with it. What will we do on Earth? The poor people, or people with no capability of leaving, would stay on the planet and die. And the people who could get the heck out of here, they would hop in their spaceships and they would take off. So there was this situation where we had space refugees, people fleeing from different planets around some of those stars in the Pleiades, where this war was happening. They became refugees. They then began to inhabit new star systems: Aldebaran, Zeta Reticulus, the Dogon, the Dog Star, Sirius A, B, and C, Orion, in all these various different star systems. This is how they spread out. A small group of them crash landed on a planet called Nibiru in the Enuma Elish, which orbits a brown dwarf star, which orbits our sun. And some people came to Earth and Mars and they began to create breakaway civilizations. So it was all about creating breakaway civilizations. Just like here on Earth, Elon and Jeff Bezos and these guys are talking about going to Mars on a one-way trip and never coming back, taking 1 million people with them. They want to create a breakaway civilization. If they want to do it, why wouldn't these other races want to do it as well? They were getting away from war. So that's how people got spread out throughout this region or sector of our galaxy over here.
So, you mentioned Tahuti, and when you study Hermeticism, it talks about how all is mental. So if all is mental, would I guess Inky and Lil isn't incarnate on Earth right now as one human being. Would and Lil be like Agent Smith from the Matrix, who possesses a million beings on the planet Earth, and when we see somebody with that evil aura about them, we could say, "Oh, that's that in Lil energy like that." Is it like that? Is he like Agent Smith?
It's like Agent Smith in this way. The coding that he put into people has persisted for millennia. When he, in one of these tablets, he's showing his sister, Ninhursag, a tablet. It says a crystal tablet, actually, which is amazing. It says a crystal tablet. The plan that he was going to create for this planet for all time. That was his exact words. The plan for all time on a crystal tablet he showed his sister. And he implemented things like the bicameral Congress. That started in Mesopotamia. That was initiated by Enlil. Read The Gods of Eden by William Bramley. This is well documented. They teach this actually in university. If you go to university and study ancient civilizations, I attended Harvard for ancient civilizations, right, studies. And guess what they taught? That this is where the bicameral Congress came from. So the political system we have now came from that. Street grids, construction techniques, education systems. Inflation was inserted millennia ago. They inserted inflation. He was responsible for that as well. If I had a apple tree orchard and you had lambs and I needed to get a lamb from you, I would take 2 satchels of apples to bring it over for a lamb. And okay, boom, exchange. Now, the next time I come back, if there's a holiday coming, right, and everybody's got to sacrifice lambs and you're running short on lambs, I may bring 2 satchels. You say, look, I don't have a lamb right now. I'm going to give you this IOU. We know that's a fact because we found over 1 million IOUs written on clay tablets like fake dollar bills, fiat currency. And you'd walk away with the IOU. You come back, so I got to have this lamb. Look, there's a shortage of lambs. Now the price went up. I'll give you a half a lamb for what you have in your hand right now. That IOU is only worth half of a lamb. They cut the lamb in half and give you a half a lamb. You got to go about your business with half of a lamb. So inflation started all the way back then. It was inserted by them. All these things, and then also all the mental conditioning and the programming codes were already put in from back then. The programming codes to automatically defend the system. That's the Agent Smith effect. All that was initiated and started by this Enlil character and has made it until this very current day is still working and operating. You walk up to somebody, you start talking about the Kardashians or some foolishness on some reality show, they perk up and their ears perk up and, hey, I mean, you saw how they did this and how they did that. But then you stop in the middle of that conversation and talk about 9/11 or, other things that they're doing around the world with different types of medicines and things like that. You know what I mean? All of a sudden they're gonna shift and change. You're gonna see that the countenance on their face change. All of a sudden they become Agent Smith. That's the Agent Smith effect. Now they want to defend the Matrix. They want to shut you up. They want you to change the subject. They want to denounce you. They want to put you down and make you feel dumb for even bringing it up so they can get back to the foolishness. And so that's the programming code that was installed millennia ago. Millennia, and it's still persisting to this very day.
So if Enlil and Inky are these advanced beings, like I keep hearing about, they don't understand that we got the dark light from the prime created within us. They don't get that. Why they don't get that we're just as advanced or even more than they are if we have the dark light from the prime creator. Their creator light is within us.
Oh, they know. They wrote a whole tablet about it. The myth of adapa. That's a whole tablet. They wrote all about us.
Saying what? What's that? What's that, Billy? Come on, Billy. What's that? What's that, Billy? Come on, Billy. No. No, this show might be a little longer. What's that, Billy? Hold up now.
Come on, man. You know I got the tablet knowledge over here, man. The myth of adapa is a tablet that nobody wants to talk about. It's talking about Adam. Adapa is also Adam. It's another way of saying Adam in ancient Mesopotamian, but it's talking about the power that was injected into Adam's DNA, that when Enki was ordered to do this genetic modification to the existing hominid on this planet, he did a little extra. And what he did was he created a DNA pattern in us and a quantum field inside of us that over time, as we began to gain our own level of conscious knowledge and gnosis, it would then reconnect and allow us to supersede even the Anunnaki. That's not me saying that. That's what's written in the myth of Adapa, 6,000-year-old ancient text that was scribed directly from the mouth of one of these Anunnaki beings to a scribe and written on a tablet. And it was a big war that broke out because of this, because of he should have never done that. He should have never given us the capability of even having the ability to rise even above them, and that they were jealous of us. This whole thing in the Bible where the angels were jealous of man because man had been chosen by God and man can rise above the angels, that comes out of the myth of Adapa almost word for word. That's where it came from. It didn't come from nobody sitting there writing from John and Mary and Judas and all of them. That came straight out of the myth of Adapa.
So is that why mitochondria has? It looks like the matrix. It has a matrix in it. Is that what Inky put in us?
Everything is a fractal. So because we're living in a matrix of light, so the ancients was right. The Bible is right. The Torah is right. The Aboriginals are right. We're living inside of a creation. Now, what the matrix means is it's describing what is the type of creation. In the Bible, the name for the Matrix movie came from the Bible, because the Bible is where you find the term or the phrase, the matrix. It's in there, I believe, 6 times. And so what it says in the Bible is, in order for a person to be fully born up here, you must come through the womb and be born of the matrix. And so the Bible is telling you that you're living in a matrix. Now, what is this matrix made out of? Quantum physics tells us it's made out of light. We're living in a matrix made of light. How do we know this? We have CERN. We have the Large Hadron Collider, which is located at CERN in Switzerland, the largest machine in the world, where we take atoms and we smash them together to see what happens. And we find quarks and other different types of tiny particles. But at the end of the day, we always find the same thing. All matter is made of light. That's all matter is. And things that appear to be solid are made of light that's slowed down to a specific frequency to give you the illusion of solidity. Why? Because we know that all atoms are 99.999% empty space. Like you heard me say before, right now there's now 8 billion people on Earth. But if I took all the empty space out of all the atoms, out of the 8 billion people on Earth, I can fit everyone into a sugar cube.
Wow.
That's how we know we're living in a matrix. No one is really here. Your spirit essence is being broadcasted on a frequency, and it's inhabiting these avatar bodies, which are made primarily up of what? Light. We are walking beings of light, every single one of us. There is no other way around it. That's what the mechanics says we are. We are walking beings of light, inhabited by light. Period.
Man, yo, you the perfect dude to do this blueprint for God power, man. You go in, bro. You go in, but yo, fam, before we continue, family, for those just to let y'all know, the workshop of the century is going down January 7th. Blueprint for God power, featuring Billy Carson and Dr. B Sirius. It's a virtual workshop. It's online. Anybody all over the world could attend. It's going to be about 9-10 hours. It's going to be extremely explosive. It's going to be interactive. It's going to be just financial information, spiritual information, psychological subconscious information. I mean, it's going to be amazing. I advise everybody who want to tap into that God power to sign up for this workshop January 7th. Let me ask you, Billy, since I heard you say before how when the Christians pray and they say, and I was taught to say amen at the end of my prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're conjuring the energy of a lesser God when they do that, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
So let me ask you this, Billy. What energy the dudes walking around talking about they Satanists and I worship Satan and they're wearing all black and they got pentagrams, what energy are they conjuring? If the Satan and Lil is posing as the God, what energy is the Satanist conjuring?
They think they conjure some dark energy that gives them this ultimate power, but they ain't conjuring nothing either, because Enlil was only called Enki was only called Satan by his brother. But that wasn't his real name. Mm-hmm. The guy Enki actually developed some level of empathy and even actually fell in love with a human being, just like his son Thoth did. And Thoth took on Mayat, was actually a human wife. She wasn't even one of them, and it's caused a big battle between their cults and everything else. All right, they had a big conflict over. Oh, you got a human now. You know what I'm saying? We over here worried about, oh, you with a white woman, you with a black woman. No, you with a human.
You with a human.
You know what I'm saying? So It's a whole. They went to a whole nother level. They created the wars. One of the original wars that created the breakdown of the circle, the city of Atlantis, the circular city in the Atlantic Ocean, was because of what? A woman, a female human wife, was the original catalyst that started the whole thing. That started the whole battle. So they think they're channeling these dark people. Think they're channeling some power. They ain't doing nothing, huh?
So Thoth started the war by messing with the
No,
female.
he not really. That was before him. Even there was another one. Yeah, his relative. Yeah.
What was his name? The relative. What was his name?
And that's not this. The Greek converted the name already, so there's no way to know the original name. But it was one of these Atlantean people. Thoth married Mayat, and he built the Mesoamerican complex at Teotihuacan as a tribute to his wife. And the Pyramid of the Moon is actually her pyramid. It's built from 8 pyramids stacked on top of each other. Thoth had his affinity with the number 8. But these dark people, they think
because Thoth, his thing was number 8.
Yeah, he had an affinity for the number 8. Everything 8 was big, a huge part of his tablets. He always wrote about 8s, things in 8s, things within infinities, which also was an 8. And he built 8 pyramids. When you do a scan of the Pyramid of the Moon, you find it's actually 8 pyramids stacked on top of each other like a fractal. I did a whole lecture on it before I've been to I'm going back to Teotihuacan in just a few more weeks. I'm doing a whole documentary out there.
Where's that at? That is in
That's in Mexico City, right outside of Mexico City.
That's the city of gods. They call it the city of gods.
Right, the city of gods, the city of God. And his house that he actually lived in, I've been inside of it, where he actually lived in. Now, what God lives in a house? Yeah, he lived there. When he left Africa, he took Black African Olmecs with him from Africa to Mesoamerica. This is long before the Mayans even arrived on site. The Mayans were nowhere to be seen. They built the entire civilization there, an advanced civilization, and out there, not only in Teotihuacan, but down in through the Yucatan Peninsula, down through the jungle into Coba, all the way down into Chichen Itza. And they ruled and had maintained it for 200 years. And then the Mayans arrived. The Mayans inherited what was already there. The Mayans themselves didn't even know who built it. So they named them Teotihuacans. That's where the name came from. The Mayans named them. That's why the Mayans were such a brutal, dark race of people. You see that they would be ripping the hearts out of people's chests and hoping that gods can make it rain by killing virgins and all this crazy stuff. But then they can build pyramids and technological advancements like this. No, they were just barbaric people that stumbled across high tech and lived and moved in. About, I think 180 years after that, the Aztecs, who were living miles away in a valley, lost their valley due to a volcanic eruption. They had to migrate. They stumbled across Teotihuacan. They said, damn, the Mayans are gone. We're going to move in now. Then they moved on and inherited everything that was already there. The Mayans built nothing. The Aztecs built nothing. Who built it? The Olmecs and Thoth, the Atlantean priest king, also known as Tahuti Jehudi, but also over there he was known as Quetzalcoatl, Lord Pakal, Kukulkan, Viracocha, many names, but the same person.
Wow, man, this is some interesting stuff here. Wow.
I've been on this for years, man.
Yeah. So, Thoth's relationship with Enki and Enlil, did he get along with them, not get along with them? What was his relationship with Enki and Enlil, Thoth?
He got along great with his father. His father is the one who sent him to Mexico, or what back then was called Mesoamerica. His father's the one who sent him to the land of Chem after the Great Flood happened. If you read the Emerald Tablets, the first opening scene, his father tells him, go and follow the mission that you were told. In other words, go to the land of Chem. He sent him to Chem. So he got into the great ship of the master, which was his father's ship, and he rose into the sunlight until the planet disappeared. Then when he got to the point anointed, he looked down and saw an ancient temple in the land of Chem coming up out of the mud, and he descended from the sky down to the land. That ain't no ship sailing on the ocean, buddy. He's in a spaceship. And then he said when he opened his doors in the land of Chem, the hairy barbarians came to hit him with cudgels and spears. He raised his staff and sent out a ray of vibration, stopping him still as fragments of stone in the mountain. He had an ancient stun gun 36,000 years ago, froze these people in their tracks. We have the same technology right now. It's called the active denial system. The military has it. They point a dish at you, or a group of people that are coming to attack. It will freeze you in your tracks. It'll make you think you're on fire. It'll make you vomit. It'll give you severe pain. Same thing he had. Then he released them. And when he released them, they started groveling at his feet. He said, no, I'm not a god. Stand up. I'm here to help you get back up to a high level of civilization. He didn't say I was here to teach you guys how to do this for the first time. He said, come bring you back. In other words, this generation after generation had gone down so low after this flood situation, they had forgotten all the knowledge and technology. He was there to raise up Kim back to a high level, which he did. Once he did that, he told his friends that came with him, or his crew that came with him, to spread around the planet and duplicate what we did here. And they went around the planet and duplicated the civilization. This is why you see the pyramids on every continent. Right. You see the temples on every continent, just like with slightly different motif, because everybody want to put their own individual artistic touch on things. But also the other reason why you see a lot of races on the planet. These people that went there with him were multiracial people. When you go to different countries, you see different races of people. Why? It's a genetic modification. It's like a cow brand. Oh, you look yellow Asian? Why? Because I branded your DNA. Now you look like me. I'm ruling over you. Oh, we go to the Caucasus Mountains. We brand you Caucasus. You're Caucasian now. You look like me. Oh, you're the red man? I brand you into a red man. This is verifiable through genetics in biology. Go to a university and study this, study genetics, and you'll discover there's a 2% variation between all races. And the top geneticists in the world will tell you this didn't happen by evolution. It would have taken another couple 100 million years for natural evolution to create this genetic modification. They say it only happened in 200,000 years. Oh my God, when did the tablets say they genetically modified people? 200,000 years ago. So they know it's a genetic modification why people are different races. According to the tablets, the black-faced people were here first, and after that, the other races appeared on the planet. But they only appeared after this flood scene where Enki and Thoth went around the planet with his crew and reproduced what was happening in the land of Kim. This is why people think everything originated in Kim. In actuality, Kim was the second start of the rebirth on the planet. There was a start even prior to that, which is really out of Mesopotamia, which in true reality is just an extension of Africa. It's been separated now by lines on a map, but Africa extended well up into the area now that's called Arabia.
Wow. Okay, Billy. So we're in this season. We're in the holiday season. We're in the Christmas season. So we're talking about Satan. What's the similarities? What connection is there between Satan, Santa, and Saturn? Because they all sound similar.
Yeah. Well, they all are similar. It's all a play on the words. You had the people who were talking originally about Satan, the Lord of Eden, or Satan, right? And then you had the people that, for whatever reason, got knowledge, just like the Dogons got knowledge of the planets in our solar system from the Nomo. They knew about Saturn, they knew about Neptune, they knew about Jupiter and all these planets. Well, at some point, there became a Saturnian cult, which started worshiping the planet Saturn for a particular reason. They claimed that one of these gods came from Saturn. Now, what's interesting is there's a book by Norman Bergeron. I paid $800 for this book because it's been out of production. You can still every now and then find a copy of it on eBay or sometimes even on Amazon, right? Very rarely on Amazon, but mostly on eBay, you can get a copy of it. And it's the Ring Makers of Saturn, okay? Now, in this book, this guy, Norman Bergeron, used to be the head of NACA, which was what it was called before it was NASA. It was called NACA, N-A-C-A. He was in the command center when images were coming back from probes that had been sent out from Voyager and so forth. And in these images, which he had obtained and kept copies of these images before Photoshop, before obfuscation techniques and all this other stuff, there appeared to be gigantic ships hovering around the rings of Saturn, even some on top of the rings. And this book is about, I don't know how many, 300 something pages, but it's a phenomenal book written by a guy with a resume for top secret projects and rocket science that can go from here down the street around the corner. One of the most genius people that ever walked the planet. And this guy says a couple things. He says, first of all, that he called them ring makers, for any lack of a better word. And it's ironic, though, that these people were worshiping Saturn and saying that this special god came from there. But now this guy in the future, in our modern era, is talking about the fact that after looking at the raw footage coming in from Voyager, I see UFOs hovering around the rings of Saturn. It's got to be a link there somewhere. There's some. It can't be a coincidence. There's a connection. That same guy, Norman Bergeron, in an interview, stated that he was also in the command center when Apollo walked on the moon. And what he said was interesting, that a giant craft landed across the crater, and 8-foot tall black people. And this video is available online. It's well documented.
I
It's even
remember.
on my TV account, my Forbidden TV even. Walked out of this vessel and watched Buzz walk on the moon. And so there's something to this with this Saturn, Saturnia, and all this stuff, and this saying that these gods came from them. We're going to worship them, and Satan, who happens to be a god, a person masquerading as a god. I think it's all linked together.
Do you think there's people, I don't know if it's called the electric universe theory, but there's a lot of people on the internet that say that Saturn used to be the central sun to this universe. From your research, is there any truth to that?
No. Quantum physics disproves it. Quantum mechanics disproves it. Orbital mechanics, which I've studied for over 20 years, orbital mechanics disproves it. Accretion theory disproves it. Quantum theory disproves it. There's so many theories I can go to, and so many science facts that I know, according even to 22 forces of nature. I can go to any single one of those different things I just told you, and I can break that whole thing down. That's actually a complete fallacy. It doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm. So when we see these pictures of the so-called devil or Satan, he always has horns on him. Where do these horns come from?
That is they're coming from the ram. So at some point, idol worship and satanic worship took on the image of the ram, which is, has the horns. And so that became the thing. And that just got carried on through tradition. And then so naturally you would say, okay, let me make this guy into a human shape and put horns on top. Now I got the ram in the form of a human. And now we have a walking devil, a walking demon.
Indeed. So in terms of, there's usually two types of people on this planet. Mm-hmm. And this is where it gets interesting. And this is when we go into the mental aspect of things. And I guess this is where people could learn to tap into their God power, their blueprint for their God power. There's usually two types of people on this planet. And I'm going to use you as an example, Billy. Well, no, I'm not going to use you as an example. Well, let me just say this. There's a person that will say, their car breaks down. I said you because you said the story yesterday about your car tire. So say they catch a flat in their tire. A lot of people will say, damn, man, Satan is working overtime. The devil is working overtime. Satan is at it again. Then there's some people who just say, damn, I should have checked my tires. I was hasty.
Right.
I was anxiety filled. I got to change my vibration in order for things like this not to happen to me again. Yeah. And that person usually doesn't credit Satan with so much, but so many religious people, the first time something bad happens, they always give that credit to Satan. Satan is doing it. Satan is doing it. Talk to me about that type of mindset. Mm-hmm. And did our ego create this idea of Satan doing all of these bad things because the ego can't understand how the unseen realm is operating?
It's not ego, it's something else. It's called wanting to give away your responsibilities. It's called not wanting to be taking responsibility for your own actions. This is the biggest problem I have with religion. See, religion, it teaches you that there is a good and there's an evil. And then when something bad is happening, or when you've done something bad, it's because of this thing on the outside of you. And when something good happens, it's because of this thing over here on the outside of you. It never teaches you to go inside. Mm-hmm. Now, the book talks about going inside, but the pastors never teach you that. They always teach you got to rely on the outside, because on the outside is where I'm located. I need to get your money. And so if you rely on the outside, I'm going to be able to drive my cars and have a nice house and my private jet. But if you go to the inside, you don't need me anymore. You see? And so the Bible actually really tells you to go inside, but they don't teach you those parts of the book. They stick to the stuff that makes you think you got to rely on outside sources. And the biggest problem that I have with it is when somebody is saying that this negative thing happened, Satan's busy right now, the devil's busy, and all this kind of stuff. No, it ain't the devil that's busy. It's human beings that are busy. It's you that's busy. When you curse somebody out or flip somebody off because they cut you off in traffic, that wasn't Satan the devil inhabiting your body. That was you doing what you're doing based on your own conscious decision to do it. And now own up to that and take full responsibility for that. And at the end of the day, you want to know how to repair yourself from that damage that you just did to your spirit, is to then know that don't count on some outside source. Don't go begging on some outside source for forgiveness. Sit back, meditate on what you did. Meditate on the situation that occurred that you blame Satan and the devil for. Understand what happened, digest it, learn from it, think how it can be done better, how you could have responded better next time. And then after you've gotten to that point of the conversation with your own self, not any outside source, then I'm going to tell you what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go, I forgive me. You're going to forgive yourself. Now you are God, forgiving yourself. Why are you God? Because the same divine spark that created everything in the entire universe inhabits every atom in your body. Stop looking outside to these deities and begging these deities for all this assistance and help and all this forgiveness. The best thing you can do, and the only way to get pure, true healing inside of your vessel, is to learn how to understand where you yourself screwed up and messed up. Don't blame it on nobody else. Point at your own self in the mirror. And then the next thing is to actually forgive yourself and move on. Move past it. Let it pass through your body. Move on. Now learn from that experience. Now, if it comes back again, you do the same thing again, you got a lot more work to do on yourself. You need to work on your trauma. You got to work on your consciousness. You got to work on yourself, self-help, self-knowledge. There's tons of books, information, conferences like this that we're doing out here to help you learn how to get through it and move through these things. Okay? But blame it on these outside sources. Man, the devil over here working heavy. No, the devil ain't working heavy. The devil ain't working heavy because these people got blown up by a military bomb. I'm going to tell you what happened. A person in a $10,000 suit sent some poor kids from the ghetto on a private jet called a military air plane and let them drop a $5 million bomb on a man living in a $4 house in a tent. That's how the people got killed over there. It wasn't Satan the devil. It was a human being that made a conscious decision. If I blow these people up, I can steal their oil. And then I can jack the prices up over here because I can say there's a shortage of oil because of the war. And now I can create artificial pricing. And now my family bloodline can make another $100 billion on this oil that we're hoarding and keeping away from the people. That's not Satan the devil. That's human beings. So the biggest problem that human beings have, we don't want to take responsibility for nothing. We don't want to hear that we did nothing wrong. We don't want to say we screwed up. We don't want to hear to say we're the ones that allowed us to be put into taxation. We're the ones that's allowing ourselves to go to prison. We're the ones that allowing ourselves to have a high interest rate and can't get approved for mortgages and loans and can't pay our bills. It's us. It's not them. Like I told you last night, a shark is a shark. Those people at the top, those are sharks. And when they smell blood in the water, they're going to attack. But guess what? There's not that many sharks. There's 8 billion of us. The biggest problem we have is we're too busy looking for outside sources and begging and pleading, and we can't even look at each other in the eye and say, hey, brother, hey, sister, we need to help each other and come together, forget this divide and conquer garbage, and work together to overthrow the 100 sharks. There's 100 sharks ruling over 8 billion people. At some point, it has to end. That's why this conference is so important. I need to enrich and enlighten people. They need to understand fully what's going on out here, how to take responsibility for their own actions, and how to break the matrix open and learn how to play in the matrix in a way that allows it to benefit them, their family, and their future generations, period.
January 7th, family, is going down. I got an interesting question for a man like you who takes responsibility for the things that occur in his life. And we're talking about not blaming external forces. Do you think the New Age community or the conscious community, when things happen in their life and they blame, like say, I gave you the example of your computer not working initially when we did the lecture in New York.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the New Age movement would say, oh, that's Mercury retrograde. Do you think that's the new Satan when you hear New Age people, quote unquote, New Age people blaming things that happened to them on Mercury retrograde? Do you know, is that the new version of blaming Satan or blaming an external force?
It's a new superstition. That's what that is. So is retrograde a real thing that happens? And has gravitational forces that actually have a different type of polarity on DNA and molecules and thought processes. Yes, that's a fact. But people have taken advantage of that, you know? Just like if you tell a kid, don't touch these cookies, I'm gonna put these cookies in front of you, and you leave the house, you come back, 3 or 4 of them cookies gonna be gone. You look if there's 1 or 2 left. Why? Because the temptation to blame everything on Mercury retrograde. I've had people that I were going to do huge business deals with. I don't do business deals during Mercury retrograde. You know, I'm like, what? No, I can't do it. Or I know it's another person who had all this financial and legal problems because of stuff that they actually did, and they blame it on retrograde. I'm like, dude, no. You did that, dude. Like, that's you doing that. There ain't no retrograde happening. So I think that we've now also gotten a little carried away with the retrogrades. It's all oh, this is a retrograde cycle. That's why this is happening. No, it's because we ain't paying attention to what we're supposed to be paying attention to. We're not being, faithful to our own truths, and we're not living and walking in our own truth, and we're not using common sense, and we're not using the L's that we took as learning instead of losses, and moving forward and doing better every single time and taking a step up. When I see somebody on my journey through life that I've known from a long time ago, I don't like to say the word judge, but I take a look at where they were to where they are now to see if they've been moving in a forward, progressive, upward motion. Yes, we all have our ups and downs, but I just want to see where they get to. I remember before I got engaged, I went on a date with a young lady, and you know, I had went out with her one time before, probably maybe 10 or 12 years prior. And, you know, at that time, we went on a few dates, and she persisted to tell me everything that was going on with her family and this and that and everything else, and the situations that she was in and so forth and so on. And at that time, I didn't feel like, it was just too much weight on my shoulders. Ended up seeing her maybe, 5 or 6 years ago now, and went out on another date with her. And guess what? The story was the same. It was the same story, dude. I'm like, the same story? There hasn't been any growth, any progression. The financial situation has stayed the same. The mental situation has stayed the same. These are the kind of people that keep blaming things. And she was blaming this and blaming that. I'm like, no. I said, listen, I don't want to break your heart, but I want to show you something. And I opened my phone up and I put it on the camera and I put it on selfie mode. And I held it up in front of her face. I said, you see that picture right there? You see that? You see who's in that screen? She said, yeah, what are you doing? I said, that's the problem. That's the reason for your problems. It's you. You're the reason why you're still in the same place that you were when I talked to you back in, 2000, whatever it was. And so, people don't want to hear it. It's hard for them to bite down. Now, she obviously got pissed off, but people don't want to hear that. But the truth is, we all have to do it. Even me, I have to dig in deep sometime and admit, man, I made a mistake. I was wrong, or I screwed up. And my biggest thing that I do is I want to sit back and I want to meditate on it. I don't just jump and run around and start talking to people and looking for advice. No, I sit back. Let me meditate. Let me dwell in this moment of my own screw up of what I just did. Let me just dwell in this for a minute and figure this out. Let me be angry with myself, not any outside source. I'm not blaming no devils and retrogrades and all these other kind of beings and things like that. I'm not calling on the name of no deities to come down and strike somebody dead and save me from this disaster. No, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to meditate on this and I'm going to figure out, where did I go wrong? What could I have done better? Because in the Hermetic principles, we discover the principle of cause and effect. So everything that I think or do, any action that I take in life forever is always going to create an effect. It's always going to have a consequence. So if there's going to always be a consequence to every thought and decision that I've acted on, I have to just sit back and think, what can I do to make my outcome better? Because it's always going to be an outcome. It's always going to be a consequence, whether it's good or bad. So let me meditate now and sit back and envision in my mind exactly what am I going to do to create a different outcome the next time this situation occurs. And then I'm going to program that into my brain and my mind. So when the next time this stuff happens, I'm ready to handle it like a god instead of like a doggone idiot. And then when you start doing that and you start analyzing and accessing that God power more and more and more, and you start to overcome stuff before it even happens, a true genius solves problems before they happen. That's where I'm at now. And now you walking around like, yeah, I really have the power. And then you begin to imbue that power onto other people and let them see you walk in that power, and then give it to them and let them have some of that power through knowledge, through gnosis. Now they can walk and they can duplicate it. That's what this whole workshop is about. It's about downloading the God power knowledge and activating what's already inside of your body.
Man, somebody said, wait, hold on, where is it? Billy is in his zone. Wow. Yeah. I done started something tonight with this Anunnaki talk. That shit get Billy going, man. The two brothers who get it going, you and Rod Hayes. When y'all we mentioned Anunnaki to y'all two, and y'all go crazy. Shout out to the brother Rod Hayes.
Shout out to Rod Hayes. I saw the video of the night. Shout out Rod Hayes. Say I'm his big brother. Hey, peace, Rod. I love you, brother.
Indeed. Good brother, Rod Hayes. And good, great brother.
Yeah.
Wow. Where are we gonna take this now, Billy? Wow, this is some interesting stuff.
That's a lot. I wanted to show one thing before we wrapped up tonight about some biblical texts that people just need to be aware of. Okay. Sure. And so I want to share my screen for a second. If I could find my screen share thing here, just for a few minutes.
Indeed.
Let me see if I can find the window. Okay, hold on. I see how I can do it now. I got a camera in front of me too, so hold on. Let me go here first. Let me open up this.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. I want to give y'all a shout out. We got about 4,000 people in here, Billy, and they're very much interested in this God power thing. And this show tonight resonates with a lot of people, no matter what your religion or spiritual faith is. So I want to give all of you a shout out, and I wish all of you the best in your spiritual journey. You know, there's many paths to the light. So don't get caught up with arguing with somebody about your path versus their path. There's many paths to the light. And like I said, the best to y'all in your path.
Another big problem we have. People want to, my way is the best way. My God's the best God. All that's ego and damnation, all of it. And we have to understand that there is a creator of this universe. I'm telling you unequivocally that there is a creator of this universe, period, point blank. Because why? The science proves it. We know this through the golden ratio. We know this through pi, phi. We know this through the Fibonacci sequence. The fingerprint of God has been left through on everything that exists on the entire planet. So if you were a CSI agent trying to investigate the crime of creation, there's enough circumstantial evidence to prove that there was a creator. Just like if you do something wrong and they come up with enough circumstantial evidence, they can lock you up. Even if they don't have the full real evidence, they can still look at the circumstantial evidence. Same way with looking at the creation of the universe. There's enough evidence that proves that we're living in a creation. What I'm trying to tell people is who you thought was the people, the book that's telling you that this is the creator, it's not the creator. There is no book on this planet. I haven't come across, I've been through over 1,000 books. I sat down at my desk on a 3-hour or 4-hour video going through 460 of my own books, and I didn't even finish the whole stack of the other 400 or 500 books I had on the floor. I've gone through book after book after book. I've done this on live video. There's no book that exists that talks about that the direct words of the creator doesn't exist. It's all written by human beings, men. It's all written by flesh and blood people that put on their pants one leg at a time, just like you and me. I want to show you guys something here on my screen. Can you see my screen, Rich?
Yeah, it's on right now. Yeah, hold up.
I'm looking in the book of Deuteronomy. Let's take a look. Now, before I start, let me preface this with this. According to Christianity, God is good all the time. And God is the same as he was then as he is now. He's never changing, right? Am I correct? Have you heard that before?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's take a look at what God is all about then, because I'm going to show you some stuff here. Kill witches. You should not let a sorceress live. Exodus 22:17. Okay, that's how do you know it's a witch? Just because somebody said so? What's the evidence? How you gonna prove that? Kill homosexuals. If a man lies with a woman, if a man lies with a male as a woman, both of them shall be put to death for their abominable deed. They have fortified their lives. That is forfeited their lives. I'm sorry, that's Leviticus. Okay, God is good all the time, right? Well, the majority of these churches are full of homosexual people. And I have no problem with them. I have homosexual family members. But according to this, they should all be put to death. Kill fortune tellers. If a man or a woman acts as a medium or fortune teller, in other words, if you're getting downloads from the universe, you need to be put to death immediately. Death for hitting dad. Now, I don't know. I can't really argue with that too much. I'm not going to say death, but you got to get some, you don't want to be hitting your parents. A death for cursing parents. If one curses his father or mother, his lamp will go out at the coming of darkness. No, they'll knock him out, kill him. This is where all these ass whoopings and beatings come from in the hood.
Damn, shit.
Death for adultery. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, both the man and the woman must be put to death. This is all death. This is all killing. Death for fornication, death to followers of other religions. Whoever sacrifices to any god except the Lord alone shall be doomed. Kill non-believers, right? Look at this. They entered into a covenant to seek the Lord, the God of their fathers, with all their heart and soul, and everyone who would not seek the Lord, the God of Israel, it has to be the God of Israel or he's no good now, would be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman. God is good all the time, ain't he? Kill the false prophets. If a man still prophesies, his parents, his father and mother shall say to him, you shall not live because you have spoken a lie in the name of the Lord. When he prophesies, his parents, father and mother shall thrust him through. They'll kill him. You got to be killed by your own parents now because you said something that they didn't agree with. Sound like you might be getting a bad download. We're going to put you to death, put you back in the reincarnation cycle. Kill the entire town. Listen to this. God is good all the time, right? He's the same as then as he is till now. Well, look at this. Suppose you're here in one of your towns, the Lord your God is giving you that some worthless rabble among you have led their fellow citizens astray by encouraging them to worship foreign gods. In such cases, you must examine the facts carefully. If you find that this is true and can prove such detestable act has occurred among you, you must attack the town and completely destroy all its inhabitants as well as the livestock. Then you must pile all the plunder in the middle of the street and burn it. Put the entire town to a torch as a burnt offering to the Lord your God. Now, come on, man. You got to be kidding me. This is what you're praying to? Kill women who are not virgins on their wedding night. But if this charge is true, that she wasn't a virgin on her wedding. In other words, this guy can't get it up. He can't even hang tight for 2 minutes. He done bust his nut in less than a minute. He can't hang loose. He ain't got no staying power. Now he embarrassed. Now she wasn't a virgin. He's too loose. No, you ain't big enough, dude. Look at this. This is what happened to you. And evidence of the girl's virginity is not found. They shall bring the girl to the entrance of her father's house, and there in the townsmen shall they stone her to death. You see what happens? You see this foolishness? This is what the people believe in. Kill the followers of other religions. Death for blasphemy. Kill the false prophets. Kill, 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 kill. Who's doing all the killing in the Bible? Over 3 million people were killed in the Bible by God. I think 4 died by the approval of God by the hands of Satan, supposedly. Okay? You see what I'm talking about? Houston, we have a problem. we have a problem. And that doesn't even end it all. Let me just show you one more thing this is important stuff, man. People don't know this stuff even exists because they're never going to teach you this in Bible study. They don't want you to know this. They're only going to give you the happy-go-lucky parts. Let me show you this.
This is raw and uncut, Billy, y'all. I think Billy had a little red wine before the show, man.
Listen, man.
This is raw and uncut.
Luke 19:17. But those enemies of mine who did not want me to be king over. This is Jesus speaking, by the way. This is your Lord Jesus. But those enemies of mine who did not want me to be king over them, bring them here and kill them in front of me. And I'm going to end it on that.
Man. Wow.
Oh, don't forget what Jesus says in the New Testament. By the way, honor your slave master as you would honor me. Love your slave master as you would honor me. Don't forget about that. So people say, oh, it's all Old Testament. Oh, what about the New Testament? Condoning slavery. Do you think that Yeshua actually really said that? No. So all this stuff that you guys have been pimped to believe in is remixed information from ancient texts and tablets and a whole lot of interjection from a man's brain to dominate over women, to dominate over children, to dominate over men, to take over regions of the planet. And it's all about domination and power struggle. And it really has nothing to do with divinity, spirituality, obtaining a higher level of consciousness. It's all about killing and murdering. And in the New Testament, it's all about fear. Because guess what? If you don't beg at the right exact time, at the right moment, and get the right level of forgiveness, guess what's going to happen? You're going to burn in a lake of fire for all eternity. And that lake of fire was added to the Bible by the Roman Catholic Church in 200 AD. So what does that tell you? That doesn't even exist.
Wow.
Hell and heaven is a state of mind.
Talk to him, Billy.
You see, they want you to, they took black people and forced us into slavery all over the world to create their own heaven here on earth. And then they told us we had to die to wait to get to our heaven. We have to die to live. Well, guess what, guys? I'm going to live now. And if you want to live now, you need to come to this workshop because I'm ready to live. I'm living already. I'm not going to die so I can live. And guess what? When I die, wherever I come back and whatever I come back as, I'm going to live all over again at the highest level. I don't care if I'm a rock. I'm going to be the best damn rock. I'm going to be the best blade of grass. I'm going to be the best atom inside of a star. I'm going to be the highest level everywhere I go. I'm never going to be the lowest level because it's the mindset I have, because I understand no matter where I come back, I'm still coming back as God in the flesh. God is a molecule. God is as a particular piece of a machine, because all machines are alive too. Because why? They're made of atoms and all atoms are alive. We don't make cell phones. What we do is we stack atoms like Legos. We don't make anything. There's nothing called man-made. It's a fake name. That's a misnomer. Man, there is no man-made. Man makes nothing. What man does is we conceive things in a higher dimension of consciousness, and then we bring it down from multi-dimensional conscious into two-dimensional by writing it down on a piece of paper or a computer. We give it to an engineer who brings it into three-dimensional reality. What does the engineer do? He stacks atoms like Lego blocks. That's all he does. That's how we manifest things into reality every single day. So, man, it's a lot. Listen, we could talk for hours, but they got to come to the workshop, man.
Yo, Billy, man, I do me one favor, my brother. Please do me one. Bring this energy to that workshop. Oh man, bring this energy you got tonight. Make sure you bring it January 7th, because wow, brother. Yeah. This was electrical. This was electric. Oh man. Yeah, man. Family, I'm gonna take a couple of questions as it pertains to the workshop. Billy has something else he has to do. Another video he has to attend to. So we're gonna take a couple of questions as it pertains to the workshop to clear up any confusion that there might be, or anything that somebody may need to know. So give me a couple of questions in the chat room pertaining to the January 7th workshop. It starts at 11 o'clock. I still got to change it to the time on the flyer, but it's going to be fire, family. All right. So this is, let me get this one. Will we be able to see the workshop after if we can't make it? Yes, you can. You will have lifetime access, family, but you got to make sure you buy it before the workshop. Before January 7th. Or I think the sales ends on January 7th, right, Billy?
Yeah, it ends on January the 7th. It ends right before the workshop. So you'll still be able to get right up to the workshop. But if you can't watch the whole thing, you can just come back and watch it later. The link that you'll get from Eventbrite is good forever. The Eventbrite link that you'll get to watch the event, you can just go back and click on it and watch it again and again and again, over and over again. Yeah.
A question somebody emailed me earlier, Billy. They said, do they have to be a subscriber of Forbidden Knowledge to rewatch the workshop on your channel?
No, you don't have to be a subscriber. When you get that link, there's no subscription required to watch the video. As long as it comes from the Eventbrite link, which is already programmed into the Eventbrite system, they don't have to be a subscriber at all. They don't have to, if they won't be able to see anything else on the network. They'll only be able to watch that one video.
Okay, next question. Will Billy touch on remote viewing at the workshop?
On this particular workshop, I didn't plan on touching on it, but I could probably add it to some of the metaphysical information that I'm talking about. I could probably touch on it a little bit and talk about what it has to do with manifesting, because part of what I do in manifesting is using a form of remote viewing to see different outcomes and how I collapse them into the reality that I actually want. And I become a master at doing that. So I will touch on that during the workshop.
Do you send out tickets after purchase?
The Eventbrite automatically emails everyone when they buy a ticket, and they email you over and over again with the link to join the live event and everything else. They even email you right before the event starts. So make sure your email is correct when you put it into the Eventbrite system. Otherwise, you'll be calling Brother Rich's customer service line trying to find out how to watch it.
Indeed. When can we expect the ebook?
The ebook is going to come the day before the workshop begins. So the ebook either the day before or the morning of. We don't want people getting into it too early. Either they're both done. Mine's has been done, as you already know, Rich, and I think brother Dr. B Sirius already has his done as well. But either the night before or right before the workshop, they'll be emailed out to every single person. You'll be getting a PDF download link, and even during the workshop, because we have the live chat, I can drop the Dropbox link in the live chat during the live event. For anyone who didn't see the email, they can download it live while they're on the live event.
Indeed. That's excellent. Will we be able to ask questions on January 7th?
Yes, we will have a Q&A session with Dr. B and a Q&A session with myself. Absolutely.
How will we tune into the workshop?
Eventbrite is going to send you a link directly to the email that you bought your ticket with. And that link, when you click on it, it's going to take you right into the workshop. You'll be able to get right in. There'll be no additional logging or anything else. It'll take you right into the workshop and you'll be able to watch it immediately.
All right. And somebody said, where's this at? Somebody wants to know the time zone is Eastern Standard Time. For everybody all across the world, if you go to Google, you could do the time conversion right on Google to figure out the time where you're at, but it's Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
There is no promo code. The price is $150. There is no promo code for people asking. Let me see. Any more questions?
The ebook is not editable. I saw somebody asking that. No, you can't edit the ebook.
They're pretty much the same questions.
Yeah.
Can we ask questions? Blah blah blah. Yeah, it's pretty much the same questions. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up just about now. But man, what a powerful show, family. I mean, this was such a powerful show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank my brother Billy Carson for coming on once again. I know Dr. B's actually coming to Florida.
Yeah.
Soon,
He'll be
right?
here tomorrow. Dr. B will be here tomorrow. We're going to do a podcast right here where I'm sitting in this room live on YouTube. Probably, I think, Friday at 7 p.m. we're going to go live. We were going to go live Thursday. It was a miscommunication, but we're going to definitely do it Friday at 7. He'll be here. He'll be available by then. And then it's going to be great to be in person live with him. He's coming actually to my New Year's Eve gathering because I don't have parties, I have gatherings. Multi-millionaires and billionaires only. And hand-picked people only. Armed security at the door. And if you ain't on the list, don't even think about coming to the gate.
Billy, man. Oh, man. I see a good question real quick before you get out of here, Billy. Will you show us how to get a business credit card?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to take you through step by step on the business credit. How to set up the company, what type of company to set up, why you need to set up that type of company. And then I have my step-by-step tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 business credit, how to get the Dun & Bradstreet number, how to apply for it the proper way and get the right kind, how to set up your business credit profile for Experian and for Equifax for business credit, and how to log in and see them, how to understand the paydex score. I'm going to go over all this stuff.
I got it on mute. My fault, family. All right. So with that being said, family, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Billy, once again, thank you so much. And what is the correct 11 a.m. Somebody said, what is the correct time for the blueprint? 11 a.m. We're going to change that on the fly. It starts an hour earlier. Dr. B wants to get in just a little earlier. So we're going to start. Let me ask this. Will you show us how to get approved for business funding? That's another question, Billy.
Absolutely. That's already part of my lecture for sure. I'm going to give you the business funding sources. I have the sources for depending on where the paydex score is after you follow my steps, or if you already have a paydex score, I'm going to give you the plug so you can go right to immediately then. I mean, immediately.
Like right after that same January 7th night, you could go there and get what you got to get. Shout out to the donation, famously Blacker, I appreciate the donation. There was one other question I seen that was all right, let me ask this, Billy. The difference between the January 7th and the January 29th workshop. They want to know what's the difference.
January 7th, we're talking about the Blueprint for God Power. I'm bringing a lot of financial literacy and metaphysics and understanding how to alchemically convert energy. And the one that's actually, I believe it's actually the 29th, maybe. It's the end of the month, the end of January. It's my Manifest Destiny, my 4th annual Manifest Destiny. It's all about manifesting. If you want to become a master at learning how to manifest your reality, a master at finding out how to see the multi-dimensional realities that exist and collapse the one that you specifically want into your reality tunnel, and how to attack and go after that and make it to come to fruition for you, and to understand the science that goes in behind that. That's what that class is about. It's also going to be trauma release. We're going to give you trauma release techniques because most people can't manifest because of the trauma in their body. So we're going to be doing all that.
I didn't know that. See,
yeah,
I didn't know that. That's excellent, Billy. That's going to be real helpful. Real helpful.
Huge.
Okay. I think I just really, for those who have questions, I'm really want to answer these questions about the workshop. So I just want to make sure we good on that.
The ebook is downloadable. It's a PDF downloadable file.
What about us that won tickets to? Yeah, Queen. Everybody that won tickets, y'all good. Don't worry about it. I got your email, Queen. I'm gonna tell you right now, Queen, because y'all think I'm joking. Hold on, let me see. Queen, I got your email, WCOMEGY, and you know the rest of it. I got your email. I just said it right now, so you know I ain't bullshit. I got your email, Queen. Don't worry about it. You good to go. When everybody else gets the updates, you will get updates as well. So don't worry about that. And somebody keep the class. The price is $150, family, for the tickets. Oh, so this is what I want. That last question, but the last one. I know you got to go. Somebody asked, what if you have bad credit? Because I know you're giving a lot of financial advice, but somebody want to know, well, what about if you have bad credit?
We have the credit repair people already on tap. We already have them. I mean, some good ones too. They're going to take you. They're going to have you clean and straight within usually 60 to 90 days total time. But you can begin the other processes while that's being taken care of, because a lot of the business credit techniques I'm going to teach you don't require personal credit guarantee at all. So that personal credit guarantor doesn't come until much later in the picture for getting bigger lines of credit. So while you're working on building your tier 1s and tier 2 and tier 3 credit lines on your businesses, your credit could be being repaired and fixed. And by the time it's fixed and repaired, you're ready to move on to tier 4 and into bigger lines of business credit. So we have it all set up for you. It's going to be an amazing workshop. You don't want to miss this. I'm giving you the information so that you can actually utilize it, not teasing you like these other people doing all these videos on YouTube. They tease you with all this information and never really tell you anything. They just turn you and take you in a big circle and have you thinking you learned something, and you go, okay, it's over. Now I can go, what I can go do, what am I going to do again?
That's how I be.
They don't ever give you the knowledge, man.
That's how I be.
They never give it to you.
And Goddess Energy, we're not dealing with status correction. So, and no offense to anybody that does, but we're not dealing with that at all. So I don't want there to be no confusion. We're not dealing with that at all in the workshop. Yeah. So yeah, you have to go somewhere else for that. Yeah. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Brother Rich Billy Carson. Billy, I want to thank you again, my brother. And I'm gonna contact you and Dr. B tomorrow, my brother.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right. Peace, brother.
All right, peace. This thing ain't ending.